Thanks, Mr Deputy Speaker. Well, in the words of Infrastructure Partnerships Australia, the peak industry body, this budget confirms the cut to real budgeted capital funding to its lowest level in more than a decade, using a mix of underspend, reprofiling and narrative to cover this substantial drop in real capital expenditure. They're onto them less than 24 hours later. This is what Michael Pascoe had to say. Morrison has got away with rehashing hockey's infrastructure PR trick. Think of a big number and keep adding years until you reach it. Wake up, people. Spread over 10 years, the Commonwealth is only offering $7.5 billion a year, much of it already in hockey's numbers, and a fair swag of that dating from Labor government commitments. It's less than what the state of New South Wales invests annually. When you actually look at the budget figures, you get a different story. You get that this year alone there is a $1.6 billion cut in infrastructure funding. From $9.2 billion, they said in last year's budget, last night, that figure for this year is now 7.6. It drops to 6.2. It drops to 5.1. Then it drops off the cliff to 4.2 billion. This is a government that is failing completely on infrastructure, and they set up this infrastructure financing unit in the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet to find a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. There is plenty of capital in this country available, in superannuation funds, in the private sector, for projects that stack up. However, this government has actually cut the infrastructure funding from the Infrastructure Investment Program in order to fund this new bureaucracy in the Prime Minister's office. And when you look at the budget, I follow the member for Gilmore. You look at Infrastructure Investment Program, new investments. Normally there's pages and pages of them. Last night there's one project, the Far North Collector Road in the marginal seat of Gilmore, $13.8 million. I've got to say, we thought it might be in Collector, but it's not. It's this little local road near Nowra that they're funding in order to show that that is their only priority. The only road, the only rail line in the country that's actually receiving a cash payment from this government as a result of last night's budget is that one. The rest of it is smoke and mirrors. You look at projects like Victoria, where Victoria had in the budget $1.45 billion, they give them one and expect them to be grateful. That's a cut of $500 million. It's there in budget papers, 134. Victorian infrastructure investments. I'll read out the 5-year plans. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. That's what Victoria gets out of last night's budget. When you look at the Bruce Highway that was mentioned by the previous speaker, all existing funding, not one extra dollar. The Treasurer had the hide to name all these rail projects last night, but not deliver a single dollar for any of them. Not a dollar for Adelaide, not a dollar for Cross River Rail, not a dollar for Brisbane Metro, not a dollar for Melbourne Metro, not a dollar for Western Sydney Rail. A con coming in here mentioning projects but saying there's this $10 billion fund. But you look at the budget, there's nothing this year for this fund. There's nothing next year. There's nothing the year after. And the year after that there's $200 million. $200 million of which not a single dollar flows before the next election. Not $1. This is a con. And given there are projects like Cross River Rail and Melbourne Metro that were already approved by Infrastructure Australia, which had money in the budget, and then we get investing in our cities in the glossy. Townsville, Launceston and Western Sydney. No other cities, Melbourne, Adelaide, Perth, Bendigo, nothing whatsoever. just a complete con. This is a government that doesn't have a plan for infrastructure. It just has one big con.